Hi, I'm Wendy, and I'm almost 67 years old. You know, I wasn't always the woman that you see today. I grew up an athlete. I was strong, capable, and always moving. Sports, they were my world. But life has a funny way of pulling us off our path. A couple of car accidents, a stressful job, and slowly, without even noticing, I drifted into a version of myself that I didn't recognize anymore. You know, my weight climbed to almost 300 pounds. I was almost a size 22. I was diagnosed with 3 autoimmune issues, and I've never taken a single prescription. So that was in 1988, and everything changed. I got a phone call that my mother had fallen and she needed a full hip replacement. So I rushed to the hospital. You know, and as I stood beside her bed, I saw something that I just couldn't ignore anymore. And what I saw was this: if I didn't make some serious changes, I was going to be looking at my own future 20 years in the future. That moment shook me awake. It really did force me to step up for my mother and eventually for myself. And that's when everything truly began to change. Now, I didn't start with perfection, and I didn't start with motivation. I started with one tiny action, and I learned what my why was. So I borrowed a tie bow tape from a friend. You know, I couldn't even finish the 20-minute workout. So what I did is I wrote down the time I stopped after that first workout, and the next day I did 1 more second. 1 second. That's how I rebuilt my life, 1 second at a time. Eventually, I finished the whole video. Then I started to challenge myself. Then I went out and got a gym membership at a local gym. I walked to the gym, exercised, and I walked home. Those early changes planted the seeds of what would eventually become my 5 daily practices. But my story didn't get easier after that. You know, after a few years later, I became my mother's full-time live-in sole caregiver. For 7 years, I poured everything I had into caring for her. And I burnt out so badly, I could barely walk for 3 weeks. For those 3 weeks, I slept more than 16 hours a day. And my mother had a fall down the stairs, and she had to go into a long-term care home. My siblings blamed me for. But you see, I couldn't even pick her up or help her. And I really felt like I had failed her. But the truth is, I had abandoned myself. And that's when the 5 practices deepened. Not as a program, not as a plan, but as the only way I could move forward through illness, burnout, and rebuilding. So over time, slowly, consistently, these 5 simple daily practices became the foundation of my life. And so what were they? Know your why, because clarity gives you direction. Number 2, take small steps consistently, because tiny actions, they compound. Do strength training twice a week. Muscle protects independence. Eat real food, especially protein, because food fuels the body that carries you through life. Protect sleep like it's gold, because truly it really is. Now, these practices rebuild my strength, my energy, and eventually my independence. And they continue to guide me to this day, that's for sure. And you know, now I help women just like me to do the same. Women who feel like they've drifted. You know, women who feel tired, overwhelmed, or like they're starting over. Women who want to feel strong and steady again without the extremes and without a gym, without pretending that life hasn't been easy. Here you'll find honest stories, simple habits, and real life capability. The kind that protects your independence as you age. If you're a woman over 40 who's ready to feel stronger, steadier, and more confident in your life and your body, start with the habits that rebuild trust. I invite you to get my free confidence habit framework that shows you how to create simple daily momentum. And when you're ready, I'll show you the exact beginner program that helps you rebuild real life capability without overwhelm. The link is in the description. I ask you to please like and share because it truly helps other women find this content, and subscribe so you'll never miss a new video when it comes out. Thanks for being here. I'm Wendy, wendybottrell.com. Bye for now.